concept of this machine was to build a groomer that was built more on a design of a grader rather than a dozer, the way a two-track machine is built, and also to eliminate the big drag that has to be pulled behind to level the trails. We felt that a self-contained machine would be easier to use, more user-friendly, and the operator would be able to look forward all day rather than watching his rear view mirror to adjust his cutters. And the other advantage, of course, is that you can transport the machine on one trailer as opposed to two trailers. So for those of you that have to transport, that's an important feature. The track being in the center compacts all the snow in the center of the trail, and when you're traveling in deep snow, there's no snow left in the middle of the trail to hang the machine up. If you can figure out a way to get this stuck, we'd like to know, because we haven't figured it out yet. We can drive through slush as long as we want and stop and back up, and it doesn't make any difference. Deep snow hasn't affected it at all. We've been plowing snow 2-3 feet deep for 8-10 hours at a time and had no problems whatsoever. The concept was to build a grader style machine, so the main blade that you see there does all the work of the grooming. Packing plate on the back just combs it out and levels it off. We also added this small front V-plow, which is very useful for cutting through snowbanks, for cutting out the moguls, and for pushing deadfall out of the way or cutting through snowdrifts. The other nice thing that it does is when you're traveling through really rough moguls and that, you can put that front blade down and it cuts a smooth path for the front tractor to go through and minimizes any movement on the main blade and allows you to cut a smooth trail at a good speed. Front track is on a double walking beam system. There's a main walking beam that allows the whole track to pivot up and down. There's also a short walking beam for the front two wheels that allows them to pivot up and down independently. The track tighteners for the front track are inside the main walking beam, so they're not exposed. The short walking beam just slides forward inside the main walking beam on a spindle. And so there's no hinge components to give you more problems and more wear points. We have an 8-way blade here, which will move it a little bit and show you all the different functions of it. This machine is able to cut a level trail on a side slope while it's breaking the trail. And that's very useful, and I'm sure you're aware that with the drag, all you can do is follow the contour of the ground, basically. But with this machine, you can cut a level trail on a side slope. The main hydraulic valve for all of the blade functions is right here underneath this panel. Should you have a problem with a joystick or a valve, you can always take this panel off. The levers are all there, so you can move the blade up and down, or any hydraulic functions can be moved from here. The heater is right here inside the gooseneck, and we just duct the air into the cab, keeps a lot of noise out of the cab. All of the side glass and rear glass is tempered glass, tinted tempered glass, and the front window is tinted laminated glass. These doors lift off for ease of service, so it's a matter of disconnecting the one plug for the joystick and lifting the doors off. Makes it much easier to work on the cab. Cab is insulated underneath, and we've also put foam in all of the bottom tubing of the cab to minimize the noise. The whole machine really operates on 2 joysticks. This joystick here controls the steering on a side-to-side motion, and 2 little buttons on it control the front blade. The other main joystick there controls all the blade functions. Other than that, we have a transmission control. Forward, neutral, reverse, variable speed, of course. We use Sunstrand Series 90 pumps, and we use Rexrod drive motors. Rear tracks are on a triple walking beam system with a main axle going from one track to the other. This allows the machine to go up and down through ditches and over hills and stuff, and maintains full ground contact at all times on the tracks. The 4 wheels are on independent walking beams. There's one walking beam for the front 2 wheels and another walking beam for the next 2 wheels, and of course then the main walking beam behind that to pivot the whole track system. Here we have a 70-gallon fuel tank, so you don't run out of fuel shortly. Normal grooming operations, we've been running 6 to 8 liters of fuel an hour. continuous heavy plowing, we've been running about 4 gallons an hour. The packing plate is operated with one joystick. There's only one hydraulic cylinder. That means that you only have one function to do, to put it down or lift it up. When you put the packing plate down, when the packing plate touches the ground, this yoke here slides forward and unlocks the packing plate, so it allows it to pivot or swivel side to side. When you lift it, this moves first, centering the packing plate, locking it in place, and then it tilts up. Very easy function. Okay, we've got the rear deck tilted up and the cab tilted up so you can see what's all in there and how you can get at everything. As I pointed out before, the main oil tank, battery, Sunstrand Series 90 pumps with separate oil filters, return filter on the main hydraulic tank. Try and keep the system clean. You see we've got the cab tilted now. We've got 180 horsepower Cummins turbocharged after-cooled diesel. Air filter is accessible right there. And we use an electric actuator to tilt the cab. We have a large rad with separate core and tanks there so that it's a serviceable unit, and an oil cooler mounted in front. Okay, now I just want you to observe the front blade there. We'll show you how it works up and down. We decided to leave it go that high because it's really handy if you've got a tree laying across the trail. You can reach up pretty high and pick it up and move it out of the way. Now the blade is designed so you can't dig it into the ground. It'll only go down as far as the bottom belt, and therefore the operator can't start digging holes with it that he's going to have to fill. Now the main blade functions, you can see we can go straight up and down, and we can tilt it quite a bit from one side to the other, which is really useful whenever you're on a side hill and you want to try and cut your trail level. And of course we have the swing. The other thing that I want to mention about this is that all our blade controls and our steering is all proportional. I know some of the competitors now are offering proportional controls, but at quite a high price. And these are standard equipment on this machine. I'll give you an idea. You probably saw how the front walking beam kicked up first. Now the second walking beam is going to take over. Now take a look at the back tracks. You can see that they're still flat on the ground while we're climbing the snowbank here. So you've got maximum traction all the time. That should give you a pretty good idea of what things that happen and whenever you're doing ditch crossings or whatever. Now you can see that our rear tracks are pretty much at their travel limit, because we do have a limiter on there that will only allow them to travel so far. I'll put the packing blade down now so you can see how that mechanism unlocks. And when I go to lift it back up, you'll notice that it'll move in and lock first, and then lift it up.